Hello and welcome to Illumination Podcast with Nick and Kisma. I'm Kisma, and on today's podcast, we're going to be talking about who do I need to be? Meaning, who do you need to be to create what it is you want to create to realize your dreams? All of our notes can be found at illuminationacademy.net/INK134. Hello and welcome to Illumination Podcast with Nick and Kisma, bringing you ancient wisdom for modern day success so that you can have the mindset to get your life and business set.
As always, thank you for tuning in. And if you're new to the podcast, take a quick second to hit the subscribe button in iTunes, SoundCloud, or Stitcher. If you want to get the inside info for this and every episode, as well as some free gifts, go to illuminationacademy.net/podcasts. And now let's dive in to get your mindset for your life and business set. Hey, Kisma.
Well, hello there.
How are we doing today?
Doing very well. How are you?
I am fantastic.
Who do we need to be today?
Well, yeah, a little bit cryptic there.
A little bit cryptic, but it's a question I certainly ask myself like every freaking day.
Who do you need to be?
What do I need to do? I think it's more like, who do I need to be in order to get to where I want to be and create what I want to create to make an impact on the planet?
Yeah. And that's exactly what, that is exactly what we want to talk about today, because I think a lot of people maybe don't think about it in these terms.
No.
And it's productive to examine how we think about the process of goal setting.
Right.
But more specifically, goal getting.
Yes.
And how to attain that. So if you've been around the personal growth realm at all, you've probably heard, you may have heard, I should say, maybe not probably, but may have heard a really common phrase that says be, do, have.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
So first and foremost, like, let's reverse engineer it. You know, we want to talk about the have part.
Mm-hmm. What is it that you want to have?
Yeah. What do you want? What do you want to have happen?
And this is really interesting because I know when new clients come to me or new students, I'm like, what do you want? And they're like, we think we know what we want, or we think we know what we want to have. And oftentimes we haven't gotten clear on that.
Yeah, that's absolutely true. So I think a clarity of that is important to really, not necessarily to be like overly exacting about it has to be exactly this way and that way, but to really give some consideration about, you know, focusing in your goals to be more clear.
Right.
And I see that same thing, you know, it's oftentimes I ask people, you know, what do you want? Like,
right.
It's a really powerful question. Actually.
It's a powerful question because I think many people think, well, wait, I can have what I want.
Yeah.
And yes, ma'am and sir, you can.
Yeah. And there is definitely a feeling of like, ooh, I don't know if I should ask for that.
Yeah. Right.
Can I really have that? Oh, well, I'll just, you know, I don't want that much. Like, I don't want to be greedy. I don't want to, you know, no, like, what do you want?
Right.
And that's, honestly speaking, that's a big part of your truth.
It's such a powerful question, such an important question.
Because if we're going to talk about this really in the context of the highest, which is something that we really like to do on this show in particular, okay, great. You know, you've got your, you know, your true identity, like that true essence of you that is really and truly beyond human comprehension, beyond the comprehension of the brain. So, okay, so how do we get there? If we can't even comprehend it or conceive of it, how do we even get there?
Right.
Well, your desire becomes a really powerful thing.
Right.
And lots of times people wind up either getting stuck in a lower level of desire that's just gotten scattered in every which way. Like, I want to do this and I want to do that. I want to do everything and I want to learn everything in the world. Well, okay, that's a really great way to exhaust yourself.
Exactly.
Okay. And the second part of that is like, okay, well, when you choose a desire and start to really focus on it, well, then it's going to gain some steam.
Right.
And that'll lead you where you want to go. And it needs to be directed towards that highest in some way, shape, or form. But if you're stuck in the game of like, oh, well, I shouldn't ask for that, or I shouldn't want that, or that's too much, or I, you know, and
yeah, let's just put the kibosh on that now, because I say this a lot. The universe never says just enough. The universe never says, well, I'm just going to raise the sun like halfway today because I don't want to be too bright.
Unless you live in Alaska.
Unless you live in Alaska, Norway, whatever those other places.
No, but that's the nature of that place.
It's the nature of the place. But we are constantly and consistently given so much abundance through looking at the sky, the stars, the earth, and so we're never just enough. We weren't designed to just be enough.
Right.
When we look at all the properties behind every action that our physical body takes, that our mental body thinks, that our emotional body feels, it is not just enough. It is an abundant amount of elements and occurrences that fuel our being.
Yeah.
So why would we think that we should only have just enough? When our entire being is operating at this cosmic level of so muchness, go and create that.
I love it when you go cosmic.
Oh, go cosmic. I love that word.
So you're right. I can't think of a better way to put it. A lot of people get stuck they've been trained to only ask for just enough.
Just enough.
Right.
Yeah.
And anything else is like, it's made bad or wrong. And so a lot of people have a difficult time really, I don't think tapping into their true desire. I think somewhere in themselves, they actually know what that is, but owning it becomes a very different
speaking
thing.
it.
Yeah. Sometimes
acknowledging it.
We've talked with a lot of people who, have challenges in their relationship. And sometimes the truth of their desire is, I do not want to be with this person anymore.
Right.
And that's okay. Right. You want to move forward in a clean way, but it's hard to own that, right? Because there's a lot of shame of failure and all that around it. And other times the answer is just the opposite. It's like, no, I really do want to be with this person. I just don't know how to do that.
Yeah. I don't know how to make it clean or happy or peaceful, etc.
Yeah. And you would think like, okay, well, that's probably a pretty simple answer for a lot of people, but it gets really muddy really fast. And if you don't have the clarity to start with of like, yes or no, this is something that I want to go in that direction. Well, good luck.
Right. Right. And some people might be like, well, I want to have a certain amount of money, but I feel greedy if I think I should have it. And no, it's again, we always talk about that relationship of money is you own the money doesn't own you. That way, if you have it or you don't, you are okay. But it's like there's a container of wealth around you, within you. You can desire to have a certain amount of money and elevate your self-esteem or who you're being, like we talked, like the whole episode is about, to acquire that.
Yeah.
You can elevate who it is you need to be to have that relationship that is connected, that is clean. And part of what you'll find is who you are to be. Let's just start with the plain relationship. Is if you're in a relationship and you're constantly criticizing the other person and putting that person down, you're not going to get the relationship you want.
That's right.
So that's a really easy place to start with. Well, who do you need to be?
That's right.
Very kind, very clear, honest, truthful, respectful.
Yeah.
If that's what you want, and loving, if that's what you want, you need to be that.
Right. It really does start with the desire and owning that. And you bring up the money part about that, like, what do you want? Well, I've talked with a lot of people in the healing community and they have these really grand visions about like, oh, I want to help all these people in the world. And they make money like somehow just gets totally bypassed in that. And it's like, okay, well, you have like a really big mission and that takes money.
Right.
So if you're getting caught up in this really low level of, oh, just enough to get by and that'll be fine and I'll be really happy, but that's not congruent with your mission at all. Like your mission is actually to do something really big. You're going to need some big fundage to do that.
Exactly.
And so it's okay. Not only is it okay, it's right and proper that you manifest those funds to channel in towards that mission.
Absolutely. Money is energy.
Really important.
I mean, we look at it that way, right? So if if your attitude around money is that it's wrong or that you're being greedy, it's going to be more challenging to attract that wealth.
Yes.
And so you're required to be the person that's clear and clean around the fact that money is energy. It's a great energy of the planet. You own it. It doesn't own you.
Right. Well, I want to kind of bring these two together though, is a lot of times people get, when you have a really strong desire, they tend to identify with that desire. So all of a sudden they become that desire as they move towards it. So does a desire does a desire identify a person?
Ooh, tricky.
Tricky. What do you think?
I think it's very important to identify with your highest and best and not your desire.
That's my Kisma.
Because let's face it, if you have a desire and you're attached to it, and you think that only if you get that desire will you be happy, you're going to be in trouble.
I almost stumped you there for a
You
second,
almost did.
And then
you
got going.
I know. Because you'll get it and you'll be like, wait, there's something else. So let's circle back around to this really the title of the show is Who Do I Need to Be?
That's right.
And for me, I want to hear your opinion, Nick, but for me, we need to be the highest and best version of ourselves. We need to be in alignment. We need to be the person that can control our emotions, can see others in that divine light. We need to be the person that is forgiving of self and others. And we need to be that person that is willing to really go the distance, take the chances, take the risks to acquire what we want.
Yeah. Yeah, I totally agree. I think, you're talking about a human being. And so human being is multifaceted and
talented.
And so talented. And so there's like so much richness to the character and your experiences that you bring to the table and all these amazing things. When you're thinking about like who you need to be in order to achieve a goal or to have something in your life, well, there really is a lot that goes into that.
Right.
Because it's unique to you. We've talked so many times, and it's so relevant as we talk about the ultimate life tool and the human optimization, because it's so relevant to this, because that vehicle, like your vehicle and how that expresses into the world is really important. And it gives an insight into your full potential and how that embodies through your physical vehicle.
Right.
Really, that's so important. Because your full potential is unique in and of itself. It's not like somebody else's.
Right.
So that becomes, I just think, a really important part of the conversation. Yeah. And then in addition to that is also at the same time, keeping it simple.
Yes.
Right. When you talk about that, like, okay, you want a loving and kind relationship.
Give it out.
Are you being loving and kind?
This comes back to the whole series we did on the universal laws. What you give out is what you get. So, and let's get clear. It doesn't mean that, I think this is where people can miss the being part. All right. Say you have a husband and you want a loving relationship and you dote on this husband. You give lots of love, but your neighbor across the street, you're hating on that person.
Oh.
I'm sorry, but you're giving out hate.
You mean that we don't just get to like be nice to the people that we like?
You don't just, well, you really don't. It's like, again, it's like what you send out. So if you're sending out hate, if you're sending out anger, somewhere it's going to infiltrate your relationship. It doesn't mean that you're supposed to happy and love everyone and say it's okay if, people are doing hate crimes. Absolutely not. You've got to know your truth, but we can't solve something with hate. We cannot acquire love with hate. It just doesn't work.
Yeah.
So there's an essence of knowing your truth, of knowing right from wrong, etc., and then being able to come from that essence of truth and love and harmony.
That's right.
Because if we're always seeing what isn't working, we're going to get in our lives people, places, events, times, and events that show us what isn't working.
Yeah.
It kind of sucks.
Yeah.
We don't get our way.
Well,
we just don't get our way. We get the universe's way.
Yeah.
That's the way that we get.
And you get to choose to be in harmony with that, or you get to choose to try and go against that.
So really, when we ask, well, who do I need to be? We need to be the most effulgent, harmonious, aligned human possible. And when you were talking, Nick, I had this kind of flash moment is, one of the ways for all of our listeners to get there is pretend you're talking about somebody else. You're taking a human being. There's no name, there's no face, there's no job title, you just have a human being. And you begin to, in India, we learned this term, I think it's called Praktipaksha Bhavana. You begin to take apart the thing, the experience. Mm-hmm. If you take apart a human being and you just look at the brain, you'll be in awe of the miracles of how the brain is constructed. If you look at the eyes and the vision, you'll be like, whoa, there's a billion occurrences that happen for something to register to the brain and then to the eye, or the eye and then to the brain.
Yeah. We see with our brain.
Right.
Yeah.
If you look at the heart, you'll be in awe of the valves and the fluids and the blood, all of that. So you could go on like forever, infinitum, to be in awe of a human being. So what happens? We put our own identity to that human being, and all of a sudden we're not like really loving and respecting and relishing who that is, because somewhere we've developed a clouded perspective of ourselves.
Mm.
So we get to take a moment and be like, all right, I'm this amazing human entity, better than any computer, any robot ever, created in the divine. Just be in awe of that. And then put yourself, layer and paste yourself on top of it. Then you get to be in awe of yourself. And when you are a being of awe, that's when you get to see all of the awe, all of the miracles around you. That's when you attract it all.
Mm. So be, do, have.
Be, do, have.
So this is where people turn it upside down.
Mm-hmm.
Is they decide, all right, so finally they get clear in a goal. And they're like, I'm going to go after this thing. And then they start doing. And you're doing and you're doing and you're doing, but you're doing it from the same place that you've always been, basically. So yeah, maybe you're a little bit more inspired, you're a little bit more driven or whatever that is. Then that's cool. Like that's not a bad thing. However, it's this shift in who you're being through that action.
Right.
That really makes the most profound impact.
Right. Because you will do differently when you're coming from a different place, a different being.
You will do differently, or you will get different results.
Mm-hmm.
And I've seen this time and again. It's such the most bizarre thing. And it still boggles my mind, where I'll be looking at, I run ads on Facebook, we run things on Facebook for energy mastery in particular, and we'll invite people in, let them know what it's about and everything like that. And the ads will be doing something weird, or they're just not working, or I'm getting some, just kind of different people in through. And I'm like, man, what is going on here? And I'll clean up myself. And all of a sudden it starts working again.
You start attracting amazing humans.
Right? And it's like, what is, it's so mystical, because everybody out there will tell you, it needs to be, you got to like follow this specific formula for your copy and make sure that your ads have this and this and this, and you should be targeting this and this and this. But
you know what? We see it all the time when people blow things up. Yeah. We see it. I mean, you see people on Facebook. I've got my 7, 8, 9, 10 figure business now. And behind the scenes, they're blowing it up.
That's absolutely true.
They're not being the equivalent of the 7, 8, 9, 10 figures. Some people are, and kudos to them. I know some, and they're amazing humans. But it's got to be the whole being.
That's right.
It really does.
It really does need to be the whole being. And so folks will go, and because that's the thing, that's the doing part. So they get into the doing of like, okay, like here's how I'm going to, make my ad, or here's what I'm going to say. And I'm going to have my elevator speech, and I'm going to have all this stuff. But you know what? If you don't shift who you be, and when you shift who you're being, you shift your energy.
Right.
So when that shifts, then everything changes.
Exactly.
And you can actually, and I've done this before, like said all the wrong things, and people still want to work with me.
Because of the way you're being.
Right. And there's a part of me inside that's like, oh, dude, like, what are you saying? Like, maybe stop talking or something like that. But at the end of the day, like, there's the bigger part of me that's just open and receptive and just doing my best to be with that person. And that's what they're attracted to.
Right.
So I think we get caught up a lot of times in doing and making the doing like really perfect and just so, and it's got to be just right and everything like that. And then this magical thing will happen and it works. But the magical thing that shifts is you.
Exactly. I love that. It's so true.
It's true.
So true. It's kind of like y'all will feel it when you're around somebody who's very aligned. You'll be like, why do I want to be around this person? You're feeling their essence, their field, their energy.
Yeah. So when it really comes down to it, it is about who you're being.
Right.
It absolutely is about who you're being, and the doing will grow from there.
It will. And it'll be authentic. It'll be truthful. It won't be manipulative or out of integrity.
Yeah. And you'll do it. you'll do it in the way that's right for you. When
Exactly.
you said a really big word there, like a really important word is integrity.
Right.
And when I think about integrity, I don't know about you, Kisma, but for me, when I think about integrity, it's not just integrity with like my word and all of that, but it's really, it's integrity with who I am, what I am.
Right. What you stand for.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
What I stand for
Mm-hmm.
sure, but also like just what I am,
right.
Which is what's
divine, a creation.
Absolutely.
Right.
All of those things and my unique nature.
Right.
Right. That vehicle that I express through is being in integrity with that. When all of those things are in line, well, you're going to make so much more progress.
Right.
Towards your goals in such a much more meaningful way.
Absolutely.
And it's not going to be that constant slog or trying to like force your way through.
The force, the manipulation, it's just so old.
Because that's where we see tons of people who create amazing results on the outside. And people look at them and they're like, wow, like this person has it all. And I can tell you that on the inside, they are struggling like you have no idea. Everybody thinks, I haven't met too many people who don't think that like, oh, if I could just solve this certain piece, this money piece,
right.
Really get my business working the way I wanted. It fixes so many things, and it doesn't.
Yeah. It's really interesting.
It really comes back to who you're being.
Right.
So you get to be that person first.
And then you create from that essence.
The action will naturally come through from there that will automatically lead you towards that goal.
It's the same thing we were talking about on a call recently. It's like when you manifest, you create from that vision, from that manifestation. You're not chasing it. You're not outside of it. You are that.
Yeah. I'd like for you to talk a little bit more about this because this is actually an important thing. And my brain is finally like, I understood it. I think it's something that I kind of did, unconsciously in my life in order for me to get results. And I hadn't really thought about it, but without understanding it, well, okay, then sometimes I'm able to manifest awesome. And then other times it's like, whoa, like, dude, what are you doing?
Well, it's your being. So let me put this in a nutshell because I think everyone's really interested in manifesting. If you all go back, here's like a tip. If you all go back to a time when you acquired something that you really wanted and you were so happy, you will, I guarantee, remember that you were creating a vision in your mind very easily without attachment. Without attachment is key phrase. You just saw this thing or this way of being and you saw yourself in it. And it was so in flow that you just chalked it up to, I'm just dreaming.
Did you do this as a musician?
All the time. I mean, when I got the certain jobs that I got, I just saw myself, oh yeah, I have that job in Savannah. I have that job in Hong Kong. Oh yeah, I'm going to get to sub in Detroit. I just saw it, but I wasn't chasing it. I wasn't attached. I saw myself in it. And by seeing, here's the key. When you see yourself in a certain manifestation, aka a dream, you see yourself being the person that holds that dream up. You see, like, for instance, a musician, I saw myself being the right musician. When I opened my yoga studio, I saw myself being the yoga teacher, the business owner, runner that was successful. When I saw myself building a coaching business, yeah, I'm going to hold the space for someone. I'm going to do everything I need to do to get them results. So we see ourselves as the being, and then we step into it.
This is super inspiring for me. I think I need to spend a little bit more time doing that.
I think you do. We all do, because it is coming from the manifestation, not moving towards. Because if you move towards it, it's always in front of you. It's like a future thing rather than being in it and being the person that holds it steady.
Yeah. Now, I don't want to interrupt the Kisma flow, but I want to pause for a second for all the listeners. That is a section that you're going to want to go back and listen to again.
You really are.
And it's something that I've been listening to and thinking about for quite some time, actually, and really trying to wrap my brain around it. It seems simple on the surface, but there's actually a really deep practice around that. And it's right there for you. Like Kisma just laid it out in an amazing way. Did. And you may need to go back and listen to that a couple times or more in order to really let that land for you, because it's important. It's the difference between, it's really the difference between like, oh yeah, I want that thing that's way out there.
Right.
And actually bringing it into your life.
Yeah. And it's so doable to bring in. But like everything, we've talked about frequency means like what your frequency is what you're going to attract. So your being, who you're being, is determining your frequency.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. So if you're being a person where you're in lack, you're in doubt, you're in fear and your anxiety, it's going to be tricky and challenging to create happiness, wealth, acceptance, and flow.
Mm.
So work on that essence in you. Clear the lack, understand the universe is unlimited. Work on what brings you joy. Start with gratitude. What do you have? It's like go back to the law of increase episode where we have a foundation and we pour increase on it and it grows from there.
Mm. Wow. You're making me think about something that I had thought about in spirituality. Like one of the things that I've always thought about spirituality is like, and personal development for that matter, is really and truly all you're ever doing is shifting your perspective.
Perspective is key.
You're shifting your perspective from, okay, maybe it's shifting your perspective from all the things that you do wrong and all the things that are bad, that you need to fix about yourself, to all the things that are awesome about you and all the things that you can grow on. Or maybe you're shifting your perspective. It's like shifting your perspective from identifying with this physical body or identifying with the things that you have in your life and the people who are around you and your job title and all these other things, and identifying with a higher aspect of yourself.
I'm the self.
It's the same. It's not that you have to quit your job in order to do that. You just look at yourself from a different perspective and embody yourself from a different perspective.
Exactly. You infuse yourself.
No, but what you're doing, and which I think is super cool, it's kind of blowing my mind actually, and that I think about it is that you're bringing that into the realm of manifestation. So you're futurizing it. We're futurizing it in the sense of like, okay, great. Now we're bringing ourselves, that shift in perspective into the process of manifesting in our lives and really seeing and creating from a new perspective.
Absolutely.
Did I get it?
You got it. I mean, if you understand you're the highest being, that you're created in and of the same substance of the universe, of God, source, like whatever. I'm not going to tell someone what words to use, but this is where we turn our back on divinity all the time. And it's sad to me. Wow. And a lot of it is because we're taught to fear God. You don't fear God. You embrace God, right? It's like that essence, and use that to create. Then we wouldn't have a world of fear and worry and anxiety.
Wow.
Mm-hmm. And start from some place of just really starting from gratitude, because gratitude amplifies things.
It does.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. So you start there.
When you invoke divine abundance, you start with gratitude.
You start with gratitude. And look at the moon, look at the sun, look at the stars, look at something around you and within you that you can take that. And here's the crazy thing. It's like, oh, I need X amount of dollars. Start with the moon. Start with the stars, start with the sun. You have access to that. You can't put a price tag on that. You just can't.
Cosmic Kisma.
Getting cosmic over here at Illumination Podcast.
Yeah, yes, we are. I think that's going to do it.
I think that's it. Tips for our listeners. Start with something you're incredibly grateful for and build upon that. Then write down, what's your dream? What is it that you want? And then start to describe who's the person that actually holds the flame to that and can hold that. And there's where you move towards.
Yeah.
It's pretty cool.
Tips from me. Take the ULT.
Oh, Ultimate Life Tool.
Take the assessment test, because what that will tell you is your physical vehicle. It'll tell you what you are and what your potential is within that physical vehicle and how to really express that in the most ease-filled way.
Right.
So you don't have to like try and do it the way that everybody else is telling you to do it, or try and be like what they tell you you're supposed to be in order to have what you want. You can have whatever you want, because if you can think it, you can create it, but your way of creating that will be unique to who you are.
Exactly.
So definitely take the test if you haven't already taken it.
Link is in the show notes.
Absolutely. And
which are?
It's going to be illuminationacademy.net/INK134.
Boom.
And the other thing that I've had for a while now is a little meditation.
Oh, you do. You have the full potential
Potential
meditation.
meditation.
It's a great
It
meditation.
connects you to your full potential self.
It does.
And it does it in a creative way. And the meditation, it's not a long meditation. It takes about 15 minutes or so. And it really connects you directly to your full potential self so that your imagination can start to work with that and you can start to embody that in a really beautiful way.
I love it. It's a good one.
Yeah, it is a good one. I was just listening to it myself the other day. I don't really often listen to myself, but I was listening to it and I thought, oh, like this really works. Like this is really set
It's a
up
great
well.
meditation.
I really enjoyed it.
Yeah,
So,
I love it. Good. And do you have a link for that? It'll be in the show notes, but do you have a separate link?
I do.
Mm-hmm.
I think. No, I don't. Actually, it'll be in the show notes.
Okay,
I
cool.
honestly don't know what that is right off.
Check out the show notes for that. And, just remember, it's like, yes, we're going to do, but don't get caught up in the doing. Get clear and don't get attached to what you want, but just get clear on who you want to be.
Get immersed with the being.
Yeah.
And let the doing grow from that.
Yeah, exactly. I love it.
And just to be clear, one last parting thought. We're not saying get immersed in the being and just go out and bliss out and don't do anything. No, be in dynamic action.
Right.
Focus more on the being.
I love it.
Focus more on who you're being through that. That's such a beautiful thing. There's a beautiful expression of you. Let that shine.
I love it.
Cool.
Way to go.
So if this was helpful for you, please go ahead and, check us out on Stitcher or SoundCloud or iTunes and give us a review. That actually helps other people to find us. And
true.
It's this huge thing. And we're super grateful for you doing that. So
Yes.
if you're inspired to do that, we'd so appreciate it. If you know somebody in your life who could stand to hear this, maybe they're tired of hearing it from you. Maybe you've been trying to tell them, but you didn't know how. Maybe you've been saying it and they're just not hearing you. Sometimes if you just slip them a little
love,
a little link, this is, hey, I think you might really enjoy this.
Right.
Maybe they'll give it a listen and they get to hear it in a different voice.
They do.
And then you can just blame us. Just say, I think those people are crazy. Did you get anything out of it?
I love it.
But you can just share it and it would mean the world to us. We so appreciate that. It helps to get the message out there and it helps to make the world a brighter place. Illumination
Absolutely.
Podcast, everybody. It's really about shining a light on your highest and best. So thank you.
Namaste.
Namaste.
Hey, thanks for jamming with us today. And if you enjoy Illumination Podcast, please go ahead and share it with someone you love. Give us a rating, review, download our podcast. And remember, you can find us at illuminationacademy.net/podcasts. Talk to you soon. Namaste.